Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
I wake up every morning super angry at the world and pretty much everyone in it. And even though I live alone with my cats, I make sure to immediately put on my mask and then to immediately put on my other mask. Then I put a mask on my dog to protect him from the pandemic of the unvaccinated. After that, I eat my vegan breakfast, making sure to pull up my mask between every single bite before moving on to CNN's website so I'll know what I'm supposed to believe today. And then on to a quick prayer to Lord Fauci, the God of science, because there is no real God. And then I go onto social media, where I immediately get triggered because Joe Rogan, a white man with an opinion, is still allowed to be on Spotify. And then it's out the door where I see my next door neighbor, a white man married to a white woman, hanging an American flag in his yard. So obviously I called the police, and hopefully he'll go to jail this time. The government pays me to not work, so it's off to a defund the police rally in my SUV because, save the environment.
I hate white people. And after I took Coca-Cola's anti-racism training, I became really inspired to help make the world a better place by teaching people how to be less white. All white people are racist.
I'm not a racist.
Being unwilling to see that you're racist is a sign of racism.
I don't know. I love black people.
Loving black people is just another sign of racism. Your white fragility keeps you from seeing it. You're oppressing me.
How am I oppressing you?
What's this? What color is that? Huh? You see, there's no question that systemic racism has created oppression of minorities in our country. So the way to help them rise up is by squashing these people over here. And then you have equality.
Greetings, friends. Let's talk about children participating in big conversations. This is one of those lanes that require the voices of people who had their childhood taken away from them at a very young age. There's one thing that we have started forgetting about, and that is children deserve to organically fall into their life. They are not adults. They are not future adults. They are children. And that innocence is something they're born with. And they deserve to live in that as long as humanly possible before we all mess it up for them. Listen, I'm about diversity and inclusion, but not at the cost of making a child grow up too fast. Most adults can barely wrap their heads around LGBTQ, race, and politics. Imagine that immense pressure children must feel having to fall into that conversation because that's all we can talk about.
Now, you see, it goes the other way around. If you have preferred pronouns that differ from your biological identity, and I decline to use them, and we are talking about my own actions here, so we're talking about me, not you, that decision on my part is not about you. It's not an attack on you personally, any more than I'm attacking you personally when I say that 2 + 2 = 4, or that the sun is hot, or that the ocean is made of water. I am simply choosing to live in reality. That's all. You might prefer that I live somewhere else, but that's not my problem. Okay? I am no more under an obligation to live in your fantasy land because you want me to than I am to live, in Cincinnati, Ohio because you want me to. You might as well tell me, go, I want you to pick up and move to Cincinnati. Why should I do it? Because I want you to live there. That's where I want you to live. What? That's not about you. I want you to live there. How's it not about me? You're talking about where I live. I want to live in reality is where I want to live. And you should respect my desire to exist in reality and to use words that make sense and to abide by the rules of proper grammar. I demand that you respect that. I'm the one demanding respect. And if you won't, then I am under no obligation to respect your lack of respect for me and for reality. See, this is how we have to start framing this because it's true. When you go around talking about your preferred pronouns, that is a lack of respect for everybody else. Telling me your preferred pronouns is a lack of respect for you. Are disrespecting me.
So I think being black and racist online is an internet idea and a woke fad, because I've met plenty of people of color in real life and they're the nicest people and not an ounce of racism has come out of them until I joined TikTok.
Conservatives are offended by the normalization of pedophilia that's taking place and the child sex trafficking pandemic that the media is barely covering. Liberals are getting offended by a syrup label and beans. We are not the same.
We just need to start removing warning labels from items. That way we can let nature sort out the intelligent from the idiots.
Hey, just a reminder that it went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to military running hospitals and everything else if people choose to not comply and not get the jab. You know, like everything conspiracy theorists were trying to fucking tell you. Fucking shit.
The U.S. government wants to arm Ukraine because they consider them allies. The U.S. government wants to disarm Russia because they consider them enemies. In completely unrelated news, the U.S. government wants to disarm U.S. citizens. Is that too woke for y'all?
When people who live in apartment buildings find that their front doors are locked and that fires are set in the hallways and corridors.
Point of order, Speaker.
It is...
Un instant, Monsieur le Ministre. Oui, Monsieur Mott.
That statement right there has been proven false by the Ottawa Police Service, and there is no connection to the protesters whatsoever. And for this minister to suggest that is absolutely unacceptable at this committee.
Hey, 1 minute, don't put words in my mouth. I never said such a thing, and neither did Trump. So quit lying. Y'all just keep pushing the lies. Do some actual research.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives Matter!
This is. Stop pretending that this is about pride when you need to wear assless chaps and shake your butt in front of a child's face. And then you say, oh, if you have any issues with this, then it's because you're a bigot and you're raising your child to be a bigot. Your baby needs to be anti-racist, like your baby needs to be anti and pro and supportive of all of these various causes. They need to be pro-trans. They need to be actively pro-trans agenda. It's debauchery everywhere you look. Look at the Pride Parade. Why is it so okay to take your children to a Thanksgiving Day parade? You have no fears, but you know fully well that if you take your child to a Pride Parade, your child is going to be exposed to a bunch of sexuality on display, because that's just what they're allowed to do for an entire month. They're allowed to be overtly sexual and pretend that they're a special snowflake, and that if you don't like it, it's because you're somehow a heterosexual freak who doesn't understand that people need to express themselves.
So this man has been donating blood since he was 18 years old. He is now 66 years old, and he was just turned away. He was turned away from donating blood because he refused to answer a question. The question was, is he pregnant? Let's be real here. A man cannot get pregnant. So if you're asking him such a dumb question, expect him not to answer, because I know I wouldn't answer. Or if I did, I'd write, it's not possible, and move on. I'm not saying no, because that's not even an option. Just now, whoever needed that blood, they could be lying on their deathbed. And just remember, they couldn't get that blood because you had to ask your woke question, is a man pregnant?